There's one small problem.
Hi, I'm Ralph. I'm his brother. We're twins.
Are your parents,
And Kate Beckinsale, Matthew McConaughey, Patricia Arquette, and in the role of a lifetime, Gary Oldman. Tiptoes.
This is what film is all about. This is why we made this channel.
It's been months you've been pestering me about doing a deep dive on this movie, and we're finally here. We're finally doing this, and I don't know if it's a good thing.
It was something I saw on social media, and I saw a clip of Matthew McConaughey was on somebody's podcast.
This is real, dude. Like, did you know?
It wasn't quite real, but it was real.
It was insane. The first time you see it, you're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, have you seen the trailer?
I have not seen it.
They asked him about this movie, and they showed a snippet of the trailer in this podcast clip. And honestly, if you see the trailer, and everyone go out and watch the trailer for this movie as well. If you watch it, it's like a bad SNL sketch, or
Yeah,
like
it looks like a fake movie.
a fake trailer you would see in at the beginning of Tropic Thunder or something
That's
like that.
exactly how it feels.
And it has an all-star cast.
And I needed to pay some bills, and I needed some money, and Tiptoes, it's an interesting thing.
And it is just one of those things you're like, this is some sort of fucking fever dream. This can't be real. And ever since I saw that, I was like, well, I have to watch this movie. It seems like it could be an absolute lost gem. And that film...
That's not the right expression I would use, but...
And that film is the 2003 Tiptoes.
Oh, man.
An American comedy drama starring Gary Oldman, Kate Beckinsale, Patricia Arquette, and Matthew McConaughey. Written and directed by Matthew Bright, who, you ever heard of this guy?
No, and I think I know why after watching this movie.
I'm looking at his filmography, and I've not heard or seen of any of these other films. But hey, this is our new auteur that we need to look into.
I have some info on this guy that I want to share after we discuss the story, because it's actually quite interesting how this movie came to be, and why it came to be, and what happened next, like after the movie released. So yeah, but first maybe we should just give our audience a little snippet of the plot of this thing, if you can call it that. I'm doing air quotes with my hands here.
Yeah, well, I mean, the film revolves around Matthew McConaughey and Kate Beckinsale. They're in a relationship. They are potentially about to get married. Things are heating up between them. It seems that Matthew McConaughey is harboring this secret. Kate Beckinsale initially thinks, maybe he's cheating or something's going on, but she wants to know what this secret is before she fully settles down in this relationship. And we soon learn, obviously we knew what the secret was before going into the movie, but we soon learned that Matthew McConaughey's family are all dwarves, and his brother Ralph, played by Gary Oldman, is also a dwarf, and he doesn't want Kate Beckinsale to know that her family are dwarves, and potentially having further dwarf children, which comes up when Kate Beckinsale gets pregnant and brings the issue to a head. And finally, Kate Beckinsale takes it upon herself to go and meet Matthew McConaughey's family. And this is where we meet Ralph and the rest of the dwarves. And it's an all-star cast of dwarves here as well. So many famous dwarves in this movie.
We've got Peter Dinklage and the guy from the Twin Peaks as well. So...
Yeah, which I was happy to see him. And also there's the blonde dwarf at the beginning of the film who she is from Total Recall.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's yeah. She was familiar.
She's the one who's like standing on the table, like shooting the two Uzis at the end of the movie. She like runs that bar.
Crazy. Oh man. When you told me about this movie, Tyler, and when you made me watch this movie, Tyler, I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but not this. And especially based on the premise that you just gave, the story premise that you find, looking up this movie. I think, like you look at this and the year it came out, and you expect a very politically incorrect comedy, a white chicks level of, oh, this would be
Yeah.
immediately cancelled by the Twitter mob
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
And it would be, don't get me wrong.
And it still is. It
we-
still is that.
we have Gary Oldman walking on his knees to play a little person in this movie. So, it's
That was
not.
one of my first notes. I was like, I think Gary Oldman's walking on his knees.
I mean, the magic of cinema, we just ruin it with our knowledge of, all this trickery behind the scenes. It wasn't obvious at all that Gary Oldman was just walking on his knees the whole movie.
I'm on my knees. I got a hump.
But yeah, I was expecting a raunchy comedy with very unfunny humor at the expense of an underrepresented group. But this movie subverted my expectations, you could say, because it is never funny. Not even oh, that was clearly an attempt at a joke, I just didn't like it, This movie is it's serious, this is a drama.
I couldn't believe it.
It's trying to
Like-
be a serious movie.
Nobody's hamming it up. Nobody knows what kind of film this seems to be, and it's and especially the tone in some scenes, with the music and when they're having serious conversations, oh, this is almost like a drama thriller they're
Yeah,
going for right now. It was so bizarre.
It's a serious drama, and it just happens to have little people in it, and that's supposed to be funny on its own, I guess, for the people who made this. I mean, and also
I don't know. I'm not sure. Did there? It's so hard to tell. Was this mean spirited? I think definitely a little bit of it is mean spirited, but like you said, it's not as poking fun at that as much as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And it's really odd in that tone. And you said it's not funny. It did make me laugh out loud 3 times.
I mean,
completely
it's
unintentionally.
unintentional though when you
Yeah.
laugh. It's not the humor they're trying to get across. But
But there is some great stuff in here,
well,
comedy wise.
we'll get to that. I just wanted to say up front that the most annoying thing the movie does is definitely Gary Oldman, because you have all these dwarf actors in the movie, but the main little person character, the main guy, Matthew McConaughey's twin brother Rolf, is played
It's
by a
twin.
non-dwarf actor. And it's just silly. You have Peter Dinklage right there, or 100 different actors to pick from, and you get Gary fucking Oldman to do the role. I'm glad these actors all got to work on this big comedy movie, I guess. I hope they got paid, but it's just a bad, weird thing.
Peter Dinklage wasn't Peter Dinklage at this
Yeah.
point. He was still, he did a lot of sort of these kind of side
It could have been
character
its,
roles in these
major
bigger
role,
movies.
he would launch
Oh,
his career.
totally. And maybe it would have been a bit better if he was the main character. But in across my notes that I wrote during this movie, I keep stating, fucking hell, is there a more committed actor than Gary Oldman on this planet?
All right, yeah. I'm a motherfucker. I'm a dick too. Yeah, I'm a fuckwad. I'm a fucking fart. Sally, I'm gonna hang up.
This guy sells me on Ralph. There's even a couple of moments where I'm like, oh, Ralph, I feel bad for you, Ralph. He's got me believing in this character, and
It's just that good,
the
man.
physicality of his performance as well is actually really good. He does this kind of dropping of the shoulder
Yeah.
kind of thing, and he's kind of slanting his neck to kind of make his body seem a bit deformed, and obviously he's walking on his knees. And in some moments, I genuinely believe it. He really is such a good actor. And I can't believe that he committed to this role as much as he did.
Well, I know why. Should I tell you now or should I tell you later? Should we?
Yeah, I'm very intrigued. Is Matthew Bright his secret twin brother or something that he did this for?
Oh my God. Okay, so Gary Oldman is in this movie. How and why we briefly mentioned how the portrayal of this dwarf is achieved through Oldman walking on his knees and various prosthetics designed to hide his actual legs, as well as a double that is very obvious when they're using a double. You don't see his face, you just see a little person walking.
That was the first bit that made me absolutely
I
howl out
mean,
laughing. It's a bit when he goes to Kate Beckinsale's house, he jumps up on the sofa, and it's the body double, and then it switches to a dummy of him, and then Gary Oldman's probably like encased inside the
dude,
sofa, and
that
his head's
was
poking
okay.
out with
That
the
was my
dummy
first
on.
big laugh too, because
Yeah.
this scene where Kate Beckinsale and Gary Oldman are talking on the couch. This is the scene. It's quite dramatic because Kate Beckinsale just found out from Gary Oldman's character that her boyfriend's family is all made up of little people. And they're having this conversation on the couch, and knowing Oldman is not a dwarf, of course, and how they achieve the effect, it is so obvious that what we're seeing are prosthetic legs attached to his torso to make him look like he's sitting on the couch. And all I can think about while I'm watching this scene is Academy Award winner Gary Oldman is sitting in a hole in a couch with prosthetic dwarf legs attached to his waist, talking to Kate Beckinsale in a hat. And I'm like, this is pure cinema. This is what Martin Scorsese was talking about.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean. Somebody, either Matthew Bright is a long lost relative, or somebody's got some real bad dirt on Gary Oldman. He owed somebody some serious fucking favors, because
I mean,
it was giving me. It was like somebody put his head on Chucky's body or something. It was honestly the dummy scenes were so bad.
so
It
maybe
had me laughing.
the secret story of this is that he had some pretty big debt to pay, and he had to do this movie. But the official story came out actually quite recently, because this movie I realized had kind of like a cult following of some kind. Like people were obsessing over the making of this movie for a while. And Gary Oldman,
Rightfully so.
similarly to what you were saying about Matthew McConaughey at the beginning of the video, Gary Oldman was also interviewed on a podcast, the Happy Sad Confused podcast. And he revealed that at the time he was living in a rental in Hollywood, and that he was in dire financial straits. He had just been separated from Donia Fiorentino, was his third wife, and money was tight. And he also, he left his agency at the time because he wasn't getting any work in Hollywood for some reason. Gary Oldman in the late 90s, I cannot believe that he wouldn't find work, but whatever.
That seems crazy.
It was a perfect storm of misfortune. That's what I said. And he decided to do this movie. And after it was done, he didn't think much of it, and he never bothered to watch it. So he doesn't even know how bad it is.
He didn't think much of it. Surely Gary Oldman's never been involved in such a unique film production.
The role
before.
of a lifetime, as it's presented in the trailer, by the way. What the fuck, man?
Is that trailer real as well? Like, so much of this is this is like an urban legend of
It's
old
just
cinema.
An incredible actor, like doing what he can to portray this character, being shot for the most time from the waist up, walking on his knees. And then from time to time, there's an actual little person there shot from the back. But, for the most part, I was surprised how seamless the effect was. Like Lord of the Rings and Tiptoes, man, they were at the forefront of this kind of movie magic at the time. Credit where credit is due. They did what they could to make it believable enough. Like Gary Oldman doesn't look like a little person. He looks like a guy who's pretending to be one, but
It's only in those couple moments where you really see the body double and the switch between the prosthetic that it makes it so funny. Because for the most part, it is done pretty well.
So yeah, this was Gary Oldman's reasoning behind his involvement in this project. No one else had excuses this good. So I don't
Well,
know.
that makes sense. Yeah, something must have happened, because you see it's 2003. You think, well, Gary Oldman had done some really great films, around the 90s and things like that. It's like, why? What on earth got him into this situation?
It's just this very strange film. And the reason why it's so strange, I found out, it's because the movie has been cut to death. Like it's
Yes, I saw this too.
uh,
There was, believe it or not, there's like an hour and it's like a 2-hour version of this fucking
150
movie.
minute director's cut. That was
How do we get a hold of this, Tommy? How the fuck?
that is
I
that
want
is what
to
I'm
see.
saying, because basically, okay, so a little bit of context, because this is actually more interesting than the plot of the actual movie. I think we need to start from the beginning, man, because this has they should make a movie about this. So I did some research, right? Because I needed to know everything about this movie. Because when you look at this story, you know, like that we briefly mentioned, and I guess we'll get into what happens, but like, you feel like, oh, you know, maybe the movie is horrible, right? The movie it aged badly. It's not funny. It's confusing. It's weirdly paced. But maybe the script, like the original idea, came from a genuine place. Like maybe the writer-director had a real desire to make a movie with little people in it, to give this community the spotlight it deserves. Maybe a family member is a dwarf or something, and that's what inspired them
Yeah.
to make the movie. You know, that's what I thought, you know, because I'm naive. We've established that. According to IMDb, Matthew Bright, the writer-director, the auteur, if you will, behind this project, conceived the
The
film.
genius.
He conceived the film when he was 18, which is, you know, it tracks. This is a kind of idea that you would have at 18
Okay,
years
yeah,
old.
this makes sense.
And he imagined it as, I quote, a raucous comedy about little people fucking each other.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
and
That's kind of on point as a description.
and then 30 years passed. The screenplay was written, and then 30 years, he left it marinate for a bit, you know, and never in 30 years.
He didn't leave this. He was working tirelessly on this script for 30 years. This is no 10th draft. This has gone through, you know, extensive work.
And never in all that time, it occurred to him that this was a bad idea. But after all that time, what happens if not like Bright's stepfather gave a copy of his script to Cops creator John Langley, who was interested in producing the movie. So there's also nepotism involved here, you know, like the reason why this movie got made, you know, and so many other like amazing scripts are rejected or never funded. You know, it's nepotism. Like the stepfather knew a guy and he was like, oh, put a few millions in this, and so the movie is greenlit. It's made, and the cast is announced. And I'm actually quite proud of early 2000s humanity, because even back then the film attracted controversy for the casting of Gary Oldman. So you know, but then
Hey, but each their own. I think you know, I don't think it's entirely wrong to have a character who's not disabled, an actor who's not disabled, play a disabled role. We've had some great performances through the years. You know, Daniel
Absolutely.
Day-Lewis, My Left Foot, Leonardo DiCaprio, and What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
and
I don't think
Santi
it's
with
inherently.
no.
I don't think it's inherently wrong to do, but yeah, you know, I think
When it's
why
a
like you
physical
said, when you've got,
deformity though, like, you know, when it's
Yeah,
a physical thing, it's different.
but
Like
you
when
can do that with makeup and effects, as they did fairly well in this. But I know what you mean. When you've got Peter Dinklage there and these other good dwarf actors, it's like, well, why wouldn't you just have one of these guys in it? But you know, Gary Oldman has a name. I suppose that comes
yeah,
with
the
some value as well.
movie was sold on the idea that Gary Oldman would play the character of Rolf. And actually in the podcast that he was interviewed on, he said, yeah, me being in the movie made the movie happen, so it's kind of my fault that Tiptoes exists. But basically, okay, the movie's made, and the first cut is 150-minute long, and it is shown actually what I just learned about this, but this thing called the Harry Knowles Butt Numbathon, which was a movie marathon that this guy would like run every year, and it stopped in 2016, sadly. But like, and they would like show old movies and also premiere new movies there. And this happened in 2002. But after the director's cut was screened at this event, Matthew Bright was fired from the film. And the film was then re-edited without Bright's involvement by like a group of producers, and like, you know, they put together a team to kind of like salvage the film and turn it into something more manageable, both lengthwise and I guess content-wise. And the director even attempted, like, he was so against this, you know, this was his baby. He worked on this for 30 years, which, you know, to be fair, I feel bad for him because he clearly wanted this to be something cool, and he worked on this for a long time. He waited for the right opportunity to make it, and then when he got to make it, they even took his baby and just cut it into something unrecognizable. So
Those sons of bitches, release the Bright cut.
that's the hashtag that I want to get going with this video. So he attempted to have his name removed from the film, but while he was allowed to remove the screenwriting credit, replacing
It was all a fucking ploy, because once Matthew Bright saw the 150-minute cut, he was like, right, I need to act terribly so I can get kicked off this project and remove my fucking name from this movie.
he actually, yeah, he was like forcibly removed from stage because it was like making a scene in front of people. Like, it was insane. But like, he managed to get his name in the credits replaced when it comes to the screenwriting credits. So the script was attributed to Bill Weiner. Very funny, Matthew. Congratulations. But he could not remove his directing credit because he wasn't part of the Directors Guild. So like, did some weird like loophole thing where his name is still attached to this project, even though he doesn't recognize it as its own creation. And so from there, we got a 90-minute producer's cut screened at the 2004 Sundance Film Festival, where Bright, you know, went on stage and criticized the film and the producers, and he was basically forcibly removed from the stage. And, you know, sadly, the film went on to receive negative reviews and be called one of the worst movies ever made. But we have some interesting behind the scenes kind of like stuff from one Peter Dinklage, who said that the director's cut of the film was actually gorgeous. That's the word that he used. And
I wonder when Peter Dinklage said this. Is this pre-famous Dinklage or post-famous Dinklage?
I tried to figure that out, but
if it's pre-famous Dinklage, I don't believe it. If it's post-famous Dinklage, then I could believe it.
He criticized the producers, saying that they turned the movie into a rom-com with dwarves, when apparently the longer version of this is some kind of like subversive masterpiece.
Fuck. We are. I bet this is going to be lost in time, because I definitely paid for this movie and I didn't scour the internet for fucking hours last night trying to find it. And I'm pretty good at usually
as did I, of course.
I'm usually pretty good at doing those things, and this was a hard fucker to find. And there's no way I think I could find the extended cut, and I've looked to try and get a physical copy of Tiptoes, and no extended cut on there available. So this is something that
it was
might
never
genuinely be lost to
released.
time.
And I was trying to look for, literally like for an hour yesterday, I was trying to look for like testimony from people who saw the extended cut at the marathon festival project thing, but no one has ever shared their thoughts online outside of a couple of producers and Dinklage. But we have one hope, man, because, and this is something that I was not expecting I would read ever. Film director Nicholas Winding Refn of Drive
what
fame
the fuck?
has expressed admiration for the film. And after
The extended, has he seen the extended cut?
he has seen the regular cut and said that he liked it. And then after hearing this, producer Chris Henley sent Refn a copy of the director's cut of the movie. So,
Come on.
Nick, if you're listening, and I know you are, from one colorblind guy to another, release the bright cut. Come on, just say you're making a new movie, get the
I want a
distribution and
fucking
everything.
4K restoration, please.
Get the distribution and everything. Make a fake poster for it, and then everyone goes to the theater to see the new Nicholas Winding Refn film. Lights dim, the film starts, and it's Tiptoes extended cut. That would be fucking amazing.
And just add a couple neon blue and neon red sequences, you know, when the dwarves are partying, and there you go. You've got your Nicholas Winding Refn version of Tiptoes.
Yeah, release the bright cut. Come on. All right.
Oh wow. Well, you know, see, this film truly is legendary. It's kind of, I think it kind of deserves to go into that category of like how Apocalypse Now is seen, and you have that documentary. I think it's called The Heart of Darkness.
Yeah,
It's about all the
amazing.
craziness that obviously Tiptoes isn't quite on the craziness level of Apocalypse Now, but in
they're
terms of all
making
the really interesting lore behind the production, this is fascinating to me.
they're making a documentary on Megalopolis in the veins of Heart of Darkness.
Exactly.
I mean-
I'm yet to see that one, but I'm sure that kind of goes into a similar category as this. And it's, this is when I was watching this and when I wanted to watch it as well after
Megalopolis
seeing
is
the
1,000 times better than Tiptoes, even though it's a bad movie. So,
Is it really? God, I would have thought Tiptoes would be better, to be honest.
oh really? I mean, that's just your opinion, man.
But yeah, it's just when, I would have just loved to have been a fly on the wall, on set some of these days. Because there's so many weird lines, and I wrote down a lot of the lines in this film. And, there's so many weird lines, and some of the characters are so bizarre. We mentioned Peter Dinklage.
Oh my God,
but
what
he
is
plays
going
a French, He plays a French dwarf called Maurice. And he
who
has
is he?
like
Who
corn.
is he? What the fuck is he doing?
He has cornrows. It's so hard to work out his relationship to any other characters. He just seems to be Ralph's buddy, but then they're not really buddies. And he picks up what I thought initially was a prostitute in Patricia Arquette on the side of
Manson
the
family,
road.
Patricia Arquette.
Yeah, and it turns out she's not a prostitute. And those two keep fucking all the time whilst Ralph has to share a room with them, and he's getting annoyed by it. And Patricia Arquette's very first line in the movie, do you remember this?
No.
She says this to Ralph. She goes, "The asshole is the strongest muscle in the body."
Oh, that's true. That is true.
And you're just like, well, okay. Well, there you go. That's her character. She's almost like, she's like one of the sort of side character prostitutes you get in like Always Sunny, just saying the most like heinous possible things as you can think of. Kate Beckinsale, and the Kate Beckinsale Matthew McConaughey relationship in this film, if you really want to look into it, is so bizarre.
So strange.
It makes sense that loads of it's cut because it doesn't, the events that take place, it really doesn't make sense. They're both pieces of shit.
It's so strange.
We have Kate Beckinsale when she tells Matthew McConaughey she's pregnant, Stephen, I can't remember what her character is called. Carol, and she's like, oh, I'm pregnant, and Matthew McConaughey is a bit apprehensive.
He's
and
terrified.
Like, well, yeah, we spoke about this, but he's terrified. But she's like, what do you mean? We're going to be perfectly fine. I'm having the baby. And she's like, baby trapping him already in this moment. And but this is before we know about the potential dwarfism. And we get their relationship develops to the point they're constantly falling out and getting back together, and Matthew McConaughey is just so angry at the prospect of his child being a potential dwarf.
Well,
and
this
there is a bit of
later
sentimentality
in the movie, though. Like at the first, that's just why it's so strange, because he's apprehensive, but he's supportive to an extent. By the way, what was his job? I couldn't for the life of me understand.
I think he teaches fire.
He teaches fire.
They're like new.
What?
He's like a fireman shooter. Do you know what I mean? He's doing he's training the new recruits for the fire service. It seems like that's his job. and you get a couple scenes with him at work, and he, in one of them, he's like spewing venom at this new recruit, and he's like, "Oh, you gotta fucking work your ass up," because he's had like his girlfriend's realized all his family are dwarves, and that's cut him up so deeply. He's gonna take it out on
And then
everybody
there's
at
this
work.
lady that they introduced, and I was like, oh, is this gonna be like the woman that maybe he cheats on Kate Beckinsale with, like, I don't know. But then she's like in two scenes. He invites her to this party, and then she disappears from the movie. Like, what was the point of that blonde lady?
And maybe that was in the
Yeah, of
Bright
course.
Cut. Potentially, we have a bit of an infidelity B story in the Bright Cut. And we get a scene with and characters will just walk in on each other, and when they don't know each other at all, and be like, "You don't mind if I just stay in your house, do you?"
Of course not.
And like Ralph just turns up at Kate Beckinsale's house, and he's there to see Steven, but Steven's not
The
there. And they've had a big
aforementioned
falling
scene
out.
where Gary Oldman is sitting in a couch.
Yes, yeah. And he's like, "Oh, I'm so weary." He's like he's been traveling on the road for miles and miles, and he just plops himself on the sofa. He's like, "You don't mind if I just stay here?" And he just slowly falls asleep on the sofa.
He went to see his on and off girlfriend in the night. Because Peter Dinklage and Patricia
Oh my
Arquette
God,
were
yeah, this was
fucking the whole night. So
bizarre.
it was like, okay, I'm just gonna go see my girlfriend. And she was having this guy over, then sees him and punches him in the face. And he gets to Kate Beckinsale's house, and he's just like all disheveled and like with like blood on his face. And he's like, "Oh, can I just stay at yours?" And Kate Beckinsale doesn't know this guy. It's like, who is this weird looking guy who wants to sleep on my
That
couch?
bit when he's being beaten up, it's like there's a moment in that when the guy's like on top and he's like punching Gary Oldman in the face, and it's like, this could be really
Oh my God,
dark.
it was.
Like if you changed a couple things about the editing or the music or something, it's like, I do not know what they're going for. Is this supposed to be funny? Like, I am so
Yeah,
confused right
at
now.
that point of the movie, I was still confused about what the movie was trying to be, because the beginning is, it starts off as a regular rom-com. You have Matthew McConaughey and Kate Beckinsale. They have this cute scene, but where she wants to have sex with him, but then he was like, I need to go to this family event. I'll see you tonight.
Oh yeah, she's trying to
Yeah,
suck him off
that's the
right
first
there
thing
in
that
her
she does.
studio.
That's how you know she's a keeper.
She's like, drop your pants, suck him off.
That's what Matthew Bright considers to be romantic.
After just accusing him of potentially cheating
Yeah.
on her, she drops to her knees and wants to suck his cock.
Yeah, and then he, and I found it. One of the first things that I found weird was that we immediately learn about Matthew McConaughey's family, and Kate Beckinsale doesn't. So then later, when she finds out, there was potential for a comedic moment or like a moment of realization, but we already had that. We already know. Like, I don't know. I don't know why I'm
Yeah.
criticizing the script of this movie, but it was weird where the scenes were placed. That's what I mean. So it's strange. Later, like, you're like, okay, so this scene is supposed to be funny, the one where he goes and sees all his family, but it's not really funny. It's just being very sweet to his mother, and then his brother Gary Oldman on his knees. Everyone is dropping to their knees in this movie. He gets to this event late because of Peter Dinklage and Patricia Arquette being weirdos, and you're like, what is the relationship here? I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a sweet. They're trying at least to make it like Matthew McConaughey and Rolf. They have this weird, like, brotherly relationship. Like maybe they have love for each other, but also maybe Rolf has some kind of is jealous of Matthew McConaughey because he looks like Matthew McConaughey and he looks like that. I don't know. I think they wanted to explore that stuff. That would be what the movie was going to be about.
They have little to no chemistry,
No.
Ralph and Steven.
They have
in
like
this
3
movie.
scenes together. Like they never really talk to each other that much in this cut, because I'm sure in the Bright cut.
Yeah. I'm sure that. I'm sure the bright cut, there's a fully fleshed out characters somewhere in that edit because they're not here. And obviously, with what happens at the very end of the film, which is quite a shocking moment.
Oh my God.
I'm surprised there's not more of a development between these two, because the real sort of confrontation is sort of what happens between them two at the end. I wrote down, Carol says some really wild things in this movie.
She does.
Kate Beckinsale's character. She says some real crazy shit, like at the beginning, and she has a bit of an arc. She's probably one of the few characters who has a bit of an arc in this. Matthew McConaughey, basically, after finding out all the family are dwarves, he says, and Carol keeps calling them midgets. And Matthew McConaughey says, they're not midgets, Carol, they're dwarves. And she looks at him and goes, Whatever.
That's in the trailer too, which is wild.
She goes, whatever. And then later on in the film, she's sitting down for dinner with all of Stephen's family.
Yeah.
She's the parents are dwarves. You got Ralph, who's a dwarf there, and she's talking about the potential of her child being a dwarf. And they can tell she's upset, and she goes, well, I don't want my kid to be little, and I want him to be happy and productive. To all these dwarves around the table, they go, oh, of course, he'll still be happy and productive.
There's no reason why, like a little person.
And they all laugh as if they're like actually all deeply depressed inside and they're not happy and productive at all.
Yeah. I didn't know what I was supposed to feel in that scene. It's something that carries throughout the film, like a feeling of, okay, is this supposed to be funny? Is this supposed to be darkly comedic? Is this supposed to be like heartwarming? It's
no one knows.
Not even the people
the actors
making
don't
this.
know. I don't know whether Matthew Bright knew at the time. But we have we have a scene a bit later on, and we realize that Carol has grown as a character.
Yeah.
She's come to accept little people in her life for who they are, and she, they're at this party, and this other friend of hers looks around. She's like, well, there sure are a lot of midgets around here, even though she's gone to like a specifically dwarf event.
and she should know.
And Carol steps in, and with a big smile on her face, she goes, they're called little people, not midgets. And she looks at Stephen, and Stephen's so proud of her.
Oh my God,
and,
you're
there
amazing.
she goes. She's grown. She's grown as a character.
Yeah, she comes to accept the reality of her situation. She wants to keep the baby, obviously. She manages to convince her parents that, this is love and this is gonna work. And we have this kind of funny scene. We all have dinner together
With the mum.
Kate Beckinsale's mom. She's like, oh, I can't keep this in anymore. I need to say this. Me and your father, we have this thing that we need to get off our chest. And you're like, oh my God, they don't want them to get married because all these people are dwarves. But then the problem is that one of their uncles, wants them to have a Jewish wedding, so they're gonna have a Jewish wedding.
And they all look around the table and burst out laughing because they all knew. Each of them around that table knew. Well, don't worry, it's because they're not fucking dwarves. it's because of a Jewish thing.
And
so weird.
It is so strange. And then the next scene is them getting married in this field, and I was like, is this movie over? Like, a part of me was relieved, obviously, because this was not a fun experience.
I thought this was the end.
But another part of me was confused and disappointed. It was like, how can you make a movie like this and it just ends with a regular wedding and everyone's happy? Well, I'm glad to announce to everyone that movie is not over. It keeps going for another half an hour.
It probably would have made more sense had it ended there, to be honest.
And this is where things escalate out of fucking nowhere. The movie just shifts, because the next scene is the kid is born. He has dwarfism. He's a little person, which, by the way, I found this out. Medically speaking, from a biological point of view, if you will, this is actually impossible. Because for the overwhelmingly most common form of dwarfism, which is known as achondroplasia, it is only possible to inherit the gene if either parent is a dwarf, which is obviously not the case. For the less common forms of heritable dwarfism, it is only possible to have a dwarf child if both parents' families have history of dwarfism, which is not the case because Kate Beckinsale's family doesn't have dwarfs. In fact, Steve being the only average-sized individual from a family of dwarfs makes it overwhelmingly likely that he did not inherit any genes for dwarfism and therefore has next to nothing chance of having a dwarf child. So this movie is full of
There
shit.
you go. Take that, Matthew Bright.
Biology lessons aside.
But yes, this scene got maybe my second or my third laugh out loud moment of the film. You know, we get them two laying on the hostel bed, and we have the doctor begins explaining, you know, he's got these medical problems, and you're gonna have to administer this in medicine to him every day, and maybe when he's older, you can finally get him out of the hospital, and you can do this yourself. And Matthew McConaughey turns around to the door and punches a fucking hole in the wall. It was just such a drastic turn.
He is absolutely
his newborn-
devastated. He takes it so
Devastated.
badly.
His newborn baby's in the room, and he's making her cry, and he's like screaming about this situation. And he's like, "Doc, what am I gonna do? You know, what am I personally? Because that's all I fucking care about." He only cares about how he personally could deal with the situation. And, you know, he's like, you know, maybe you should go to some counseling. And he's like, no, what I need is new chromosomes.
It was such a bad line.
That line was cold, dog.
He can't look at his child. He can't hold him. He's a wreck of a human. While Kate Beckinsale is like unrealistically positive about the whole situation.
She's so chill.
And she's
so chill.
And by the way, she's distractingly gorgeous throughout this movie. Like even in these scenes where she has just given birth, she's like top model levels of beauty. In a movie like this, it's even more noticeable. I was like, what am I even looking at?
Even in the scenes when she, you know, she's lying in bed with Matthew McConaughey, Stephen, and she says to him if he's ever had sex with a little person before, and he says, no, but we did do some like fooling around stuff before, and she says, oh, you had a circle jerk with a bunch of midgets. I would have loved to have seen that. To read into that line as you wish.
Oh my God. Talking about Kate Beckinsale's weird ass lines, since we are getting close to the end, I wanted to touch on something that I forgot to mention. The scene that we talked about, the big party scene, where, you know, Matthew McConaughey invites his co-worker, I guess his students, his firefighter students to this party. But first we have this scene where Kate Beckinsale is inviting him to this party on a call. Like they're having a phone call. I don't know if you remember this. I was so confused. Like this is shot, Kate Beckinsale is shot just in extreme close-ups of her lips and eyes. And she's talking in a very seductive, like almost ASMR way. And there's no reason for it because she's just asking him to come to a party. And I was like, what is the reason for this? What was the like initial intention for the scene? Like, was Gary Oldman doing something down there? Like, what was she already cheating on her boyfriend at this time, and they cut that plot line?
You think so?
It was so weirdly out of place, man. Even for these movie standards, it was so strange. So,
yeah. There's like a strong sexual, and it makes sense when you say that Matthew Bright his intention was to make this like sexual raucous film with dwarves in it. It makes sense because there's the sexual undertone to like so many of the scenes. You know, pretty much every scene with Patricia Arquette and Peter Dinklage in is just them talking about sex or something of that ilk, or talking about buttholes and farts in a hot tub. It's all very sexually charged movie, and you know, lulled me into a false sense of security, as you will, with the incredible writing. Kate Beckinsale, Carol, she mouth kisses Ralph, and you're like, you know. In another movie, maybe I'd think, oh, maybe they're hinting that these two are going to get together. But in this incredibly horny movie, I was like, maybe they just wanted to fucking mouth kiss these two for some reason. And later, do we realize, you know, she goes to stay with Ralph after having a big falling out with Steven, you know, over dealing with the baby, and he needs to sort himself out before he can become a father. And she goes to stay with Ralph, uninvited, unannounced. She barely knows Ralph, and she's like, "Do you mind if I just turn up
In
to
this version of the
beautiful
movie,
log?"
I'm sure in the
Yeah,
other,
this-
like in the bright cut, we have years upon years of them getting to know each other that we didn't
They
get to
turn
see.
up at this beautiful log cabin that they're all now staying in for some
Peter Dinklage and
unknown
Patricia
reason.
Arquette are also there for some reason.
Yeah,
Briefly.
yeah. Which leads us to the end of the film. You're like, oh, Ralph starts looking after the baby. They start getting on really well, and they fucking look out to the stars at the end of the movie, and they fucking get with each other, and cuts to black.
Yeah.
And Ralph and Carol live happily ever after, as Steven has just ditched his baby on his brother and has fucked off. It's the most crazy fucking ending.
Well, we actually have one last scene before that where Matthew McConaughey, rolls up to the house and it looks like they might get back together. It's like the classic end of the movie.
I assume that's what was
He
going to
was
happen.
gonna apologize for being a jerk and, being like, oh, please take me back. I love you. I love our child. Like, let's make this work. And Rolf can help us because he's amazing. Like something heartwarming and schmaltzy like that.
Not Matthew Bright. Matthew Bright subverts expectation.
No, they fight even harder than they ever had up until that point. He leaves, and then, Rolf, as you said, Rolf, Gary Oldman, and Kate Beckinsale decide to raise the kid together. And they
He tells Ralph, he says, Ralph, love my boy, or love my son. It's like, what?
you can kiss me now if you want, Rolf. and they end the movie with a big smooch, the end. And let me just say, this is what cinema is all about, in my opinion.
It was honestly so weird. It had like some Lynchian surrealism about it at points.
I mean, there is a Lynch character in this, so maybe.
Such a bizarre movie. Not what I expected, but I am glad I watched it.
Mark Kermode, the reviewer, right?
Yes.
He included Oldman in the BBC great acting in bad films kind of like category in 2012. Because we need to really bring this performance to the forefront of Gary Oldman's filmography, which I appreciated. But one thing that really, while I was reading this, I couldn't believe it, is, have you noticed that in a few scenes in this movie, Kate Beckinsale is wearing a weird hat? And it makes no sense that she's wearing a hat in the scene because it's clearly summer in the movie. They're dressed very lightly, and she has this wool hat on. It makes no sense. Turns out that Kate Beckinsale agreed to star in the film for scale if she would be allowed to wear her lackey hat during filming. And Matthew Bright agreed. On her first day of filming, the producers saw the hat and demanded that Bright tell her to remove it. But Bright refused because this was the only reason she was in the film, for a low salary. And arguments between Bright and producer persisted during filming, and it's one of the reasons they say, he was ultimately fired from the project because he was being difficult about Kate Beckinsale's hat. And I don't know how it progressed, but Beckinsale has the hat in only a few scenes in the movie. So I guess at some point they managed to convince her to remove it, or maybe all the scenes where she's wearing the hat were cut.
That perfectly surmises Tiptoes right there.
What perfectly surmises this movie is an audience review that I found on Rotten Tomatoes. I was looking through reviews just to see what people thought of the movie, and one of the audience reviews says, absolute must-see film. You must see it. Watch it. It's not good. You just must see it.
But if I look at it positively, it was, I helped greenlight the film, so it's my film.